Okay.
This meeting is back in order. Bryce, you want to make the motion for the table this for the time being?
I requested information during the recess to look at the requirements of this, and don't have all that in front of me yet. So I'd like to table this ESI and look at taking it to a special meeting later this week.
Second that. Been moved and seconded that we table Seven Valley Concrete proposal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I just want to start, or you had a second amendment to the agenda concerning reports.
They have reports and documents for the board, and I guess we've seen some of that today too, that the board is needing information on things. And I think it's worth us having a discussion about how we're going to get that information and what do we expect from that information. I have given you a report, a previous BOC member gave me a copy of old reports that were given on a monthly basis. And I have that copy for everybody to take a look at. But I figured we could look through it, discuss it, figure out what we want, what timeline, and want to get it.
You look at the reports, these were generated by Lawrence Blood back in 2019. And I don't know, was this a monthly thing? Or?
It does look like it was a monthly thing.
Pretty inclusive, and I don't know if they did this monthly or annually, or how often they did that.
Monthly.
Monthly? Wow.
I think it's just open the discussion of what do the board members feel like they are short on information, what information would they like to have gathered up? How do we put something in place that we continuously get the information? Other questions too that I'd like to see is some of our past documents, regulations, resolutions that we have those digitized so that we can refer to this. Since you're in not only write policies but review policies, and how do we review first review? None of us here are in the office here.
I agree, don't have any comment on that yet. Well, I think that pretty much all the regulations and resolutions should be digitized. But I don't know. I don't know what's digitized now.
All the current stuff.
Going back how many years?
I couldn't tell you exactly how many years back we go. As far as digitized, you don't have off the top of your head, you know. Is it 2012 or something like that? Or?
No idea. And my request is only for the ones that are currently active right now, not the repealed versions of them, but anything that is currently active.
Should be digitized. Well, I think anytime they dig something out of the basement and copies of it for somebody, that should be stored and saved in a file so that it is digitized. Now, when you say digitized, are you talking about having a contractor digitize this or in-house digitize?
I think that depends on how much there is to do. How much is currently in the system? And that's an answer.
Go through and scan everything and put it on the website and everything. You would literally have to hire another employee just to get that all done, or outside firm.
I guess you have to define how much has to be digitized. And that's the first thing is what needs to be digitized and how much is there of it. That will determine cost and time. Are we talking about 1 year, 3 years, 5 years?
15.
I don't think the timeline itself, as far as the years matter, it matters what is currently active. What are we currently going by as far as the regulations? Time doesn't matter. I mean, we could have passed, this board in the past, we could have passed 50 regulations in 2005. And we go by those 50. And we have 2 that are passed in the last 5 years. It wouldn't do us any good to only scan the 2 and leave the 50 off if we currently follow those policies.
And I would think that all of the regulations and resolutions that we're currently being under should be digitized.
You don't know what you don't know, and for us to, each one of us have to go in and try and do research and find hard copies to be able to know what is active at the time, is a challenge. It's on the way for the staff to go find it for us, and then we're piecemealing, because we're not doing it in a joint session, so I think getting that digitized where everybody sees it, and knows what we're operating in, is the first step.
And I've also had, as far as information goes, I've also had a couple of people contact as far as call, and I think there's a part of this, that if there is an FOIA turned into the city, or to the city here, why are the board members not being notified of that FOIA along with the information? Public seems to be getting more information than the board is.
Obviously an administrative situation, but I would think that it wouldn't be difficult at all when they answer an FOI request, they can CC Rich and the board.
I do get CC'd all requests, and I can I can send them all to you too.
Well, Bryce brings up a valid issue that if someone requests an FOIA from the, obviously looking for some information that's transpired in the past, and it might be wise if the board were aware of that and know what they're looking for, maybe they can shed some light on it as well. I would say that going forward, when we get FOI requests that are answered electronically, they should be CC'd. If they're hard copies, I don't know, are you digitizing hard copies? Are you mailing hard copies, or are they all sent?
And pick up copies if it's hard copy, or the rest of the time we just email it back, and then we charge them for, if we got to make copies of it or anything like that, then we charge them for copies.
Do we not have a system in place that can digitize everything that goes out?
I mean, we got a scanner, but we'd have to go through, you'd have to pay another employee to sit in there and scan everything through and put it in the system to be public.
Well, I don't have any idea what that costs to have a company digitize records. Something you want to explore?
I think we should explore it.
Well, we can explore it. I mean, you're going to pay for a company to come in here and go through every record, and then, well, the office girl's still going through all the files and seeing what is still active and what's been canceled or what's been redone, and then having that company scan it and then put it into our code regulations and stuff. It's a process.
Well, I understand. I guess what I don't have an idea of how much data are we talking about?
A lot. Because like Bryce says, we have the regular, I mean, just a simplified version of it. But if you actually went through the 50-step process to scan it all through there and everything changed throughout the years, you're talking a lot of office hours.
I guess I have the question, if this board is the one that's supposed to write policies, amend policies, and do everything, how do they do that without seeing that information?
They have access to it. All they got to do, and that's another thing. They'd have to come in here, pull the file, like Dave did last week, sit at my desk and just read through it.
And I'm not gonna say that does not work, because it does work, but technology is great. It's something that you can use to scan through what you need to, what you find and do.
And I'm not arguing with you.
Right.
It'd be great. I mean, I'd love to just be able to click and pull up a regulation and read through it and then just change it real quick instead of going and searching through 4 different file cabinet drawers to find it. I totally agree with you. But the process of getting us there is what I'm worried about. And the money part of it.
I'm sorry? Have comments on this?
Nope. And not knowing is half the battle, so how, to what Bryce said, if you don't know what is there, and we have to physically go in, it seems like the cost benefit analysis of getting the contractor, if that's what it takes, to get in here, digitize everything, so we have a baseline of what all the current active regulations are. I think that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to make this as a work session meeting or something, add this as a further work session on the agenda and see what we can do with it.
I mean, I would say that we could take the action towards getting that better. I think we're in a meeting now, we can do that. Find what we want. I mean, we could do that technically here. If we want to talk about that.
She said she wasn't going to come in here.
And you wanna make a motion? Or do we just want to?
Would you like a comment?
I'm sorry?
Would you like a comment?
Sure.
Carrie Buchanan, office manager.
Okay.
Okay, Carrie Buchanan, office manager. I hear the words active, okay? Your Muni code online is your active code. That's what you guys have. When you want to amend that, you amend what the Muni code is. It basically is irrelevant what happened in 1995, what happened in 2003. What you guys, your bylaw, your code, your bylaws is located on our website, Muni code hosted. That is your current, that is your active. Anything you need to do, you will go to that and you will make your changes. Now, as far as going back to 1992 and 1970 and 2003, in my opinion, is irrelevant because active is your code. That's what we pay that company for. When you guys pass regulations, they're submitted to Muni code and they update that online code. So I'm totally confused why 2003 and stuff like that, because anything you do, it's irrelevant what it was in 2003. Your active is your code. So I'm confused.
I actually want to comment to that. I believe you're incorrect. The way the code here has been amended multiple times is striking through and amending the parts that they want to amend and leaving the original documentation in place. So if we read chapter 5, which would print out in the simplified version that is codified, is some 28 pages long, but the real chapter 5 regulations that I have a copy of is 128 pages.
Because over time, everything I used to, every amenity fee you charged was in the code. It was done by
I see
regulation.
that, yes.
They voted and they said that is not important because every time we change something, and that can be done by resolution. So everything that was struck through and removed is done by code. That's what I'm saying. Your then boards approved the removal of that. You know, 25 years ago, it might have been 28 pages. Through the years, they have done it. And if you want to add some of that stuff back in, you go to that code and you amend it and reinsert it. But what you guys, if you go to court, what you're going to be obligated by is your current board-approved regulations that are that code.
Why would we refer back to a code in 22 if it was repealed and no longer there and active?
Well, that's a good question. That's exactly what I'm asking.
Because I understand that after reviewing it, there is language that is still active in that. It was not repealed.
Well, your current active is your code, so I don't understand what the digits and what you want everything digitized. And as far as this staff doing it, that's not, I was here Friday night until 5:45 doing the newsletter. We're not sitting in there eating bonbons. We don't have the personnel to go through and digitize, and quite honestly, I'm confused what you even want digitized. I mean, you're asking me for regulation from 2003 and everything else, Brian, so if that's what you're wanting, yeah, you're gonna have to get a company.
That's right, I am asking for that because the codified version specifically comments that regulation, which means that that regulation is active. Correct?
Well, and it's in your code active.
That's
with
right.
all- with
And so
everything
when I
that's
ask to view it, I want to view that regulation
well,
because it is active.
but your verbiage is in the code. That's what
It's
you're
a
not understanding.
simplified version of that.
Well, but the board has changed that. Everything that's in that Unicode code has been board approved. That's what I'm saying. If you wanna go back to 2003 and you wanna put stuff back in, you're gonna have to do a regulation to do it.
That
And
is not
that's
the way that I read it.
that's your full right to.
Okay.
But you're asking for documentation, it's gonna spend a lot of district money, and I don't really see the point. Have I not gotten you what you requested?
Is the regulation active or not? That is marked in the codified version, is it active if it's referred to it?
The regulation that has been modified through time, yes, is active.
That's what I want to see, so they're all active.
With modifications that are reflected in your code.
Only parts are modified along the way, different parts are modified as they go to amendment.
You
So the
show me
original
some.
one still has original data in it that is still followed by.
Show me, okay?
Okay, we can do that.
But I mean, I'm totally confused at what you're wanting digitized and why do you wanna spend thousands of dollars doing it? David, when you ask for information, do we not get it for you?
That's my point, and I acknowledge that, you did, but for me to come to you, and that's me, that's one board member trying to find the information. Take another time for other board members, or just the general public, there's certain things that it's not, we shouldn't be adding workload onto your staff to digitize, open source could get anyway. To your point, the Unicodes are already there, but some of the examples we're talking about, context matters. So some of those active, we'll say the active ones that are referred to and have changed over time and been modified, having the context of that active, we'll call it the active ordinance that is, is amended, that matters, context matters. So either we go through and once you have anything digitized, you can then say, these really aren't really active anymore, they were superseded by the current code. So therefore they should go away. And it would be easy to clean all that up. But having, he has a copy, he has a copy, he has a copy, and it's not easy for us, to just get together in a room and do all this. It'd be nice to be able to have it, a contractor, to your point, come in, come to the company, get all the quote active ones onto the website, and then we have context of what needs to either be struck through and really gone archived, or is it something we need to amend? That's, because I don't know what I don't know when I have to go in and find these hard copies. That's my point.
Okay, my point is your regulation that sits online. Any changes you make, that's your base. Okay? So anything you're gonna add to that, or anything you're gonna strike through, that's your premise, that's your base document. That's what you're gonna have to amend. So what's sitting out here, all the changes have been gone through are basically immaterial. Your code is your HICID Bible.
Are you telling me that everything in the codified version is word for word what's in the regulations?
As they were approved. Whenever they did the codification, they went through, Unicode went through, and every regulation was copied, every resolution was copied. They determined some of the resolutions should have been regulations, so they incorporated them in that document. Then that time moving forward, every past regulation that affected that code was sent to them, and yes, they take a Word document, they copy it, they paste it in there.
So you're saying there's a different company that does the codified version? There's a company that does it for us.
Unicode, when you go
That's
online, yeah.
So we send them a copy of whatever it is. So the document is already digitized, correct? How do they do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got regulations.
So they're all digitized, is what I'm asking.
Well, yes, back for a
No,
few
no,
years.
just a yes or no. Are they all digitized?
No, they are not all digitized.
Then how did they get them?
Well, back before we have the means that we have now, you mailed them to them. Now we can email them to them. I've been here a long time, Bryce, so they didn't have all this stuff when
I understand, but we're also in a new day and a new time that is completely different than the world used to be.
So you can hire a company to do it all. We don't have the manpower to do that. The last 4 or 5 years, you bet we got them, but we don't have them back to 2003.
Carrie, how do you respond to most FOI requests?
Well, I mean, like Rich said, I copy Rich on those. But we have some, like.
I guess what my question is, someone requests an FOIA, and you or somebody from the office goes and digs it out. You just make a copy of that and mail it to them, or do you copy it and digitize it right then?
They always request an email because that skirts them around, have to pay for it usually.
Okay, so when somebody retrieved that requested and they scan it to email to the person, is that scanned copy kept in a file that we can later go back and look at?
Yes.
So everything that's responded to FOIA request has been digitized.
Well, except for right now, we had a request wanting from 2002 to 2012, wanted to see the balance sheets and the financial statements from December.
I'm familiar with that.
Those reports are downstairs, and some of those are in those blue bar deals, there's no way we can scan that. So they are down there because we didn't haul them up here because you haul those books up that are this big and this big, and then they don't show up to do it, which they have not. So when it's something like that, that we have to go in the archives, and it's in a format like that, no, it doesn't get digitized. And we have some people, they want to come in, they want to take a picture of it with their phone, and that's their right. So in that case, I mean, we don't. So the request that is documents that we have, sure, it's emailed, Rich gets a copy of it, we have hard copies of it in there, I have the files in my computer.
Terry, when I was first put on the board, I sent out a request for a whole lot of information, and the office worked at getting that all together. Did the rest of the board get a copy of what I requested?
No.
Why?
Because you requested it.
Don't you think it would be valid if I was looking for someone from the board to also want to look at it and see it?
We've never been told that that was a,
Because I can't talk to the rest of the board, but if I'm looking for something or I'm looking for data for something, do I have to request it from you and then come all the way into a board meeting and tell them that I found this data for them to go back and ask for it again, or could it just be passed to them?
well, I would think that was something you'd have to take into consideration FOI, and I don't know how, well, I guess you could supply it to them. I've just never been, I didn't have that concern before.
Yeah, I mean, every time we get a FOIA request, we just never send it out to all the board. And when you requested 16 items, we just did not feel the reason to push it on to everybody else. I mean, I get a copy of all the FOIA requests, and I mean, I just put it in my file.
I mean, maybe we could hire somebody to be an FOI responder and they digitize it. I mean, it would take a full-time person, or you could have a company come in, but like Rich referred to, then you're gonna take our staff time from going and being sure that that material is protected while they're reproducing. You can't just send them in there and let them red tater chip. I mean, you can't, I'm not comfortable with exposed records like that. But
So
just,
you're saying that these are already mostly scanned, or some of them are scanned. Does the board have access to that file? That digitized file, do we have access to it?
if you request it, I can send it to you.
We can get the whole file for the digitized stuff that's currently in place?
Well, like we've got each regulation individually. But now as far as putting out and giving you guys access to everything, corruption and stuff like that, I would be hesitant of it, because if you guys have some kind of virus in yours and you come into ours and you gift us with it.
Don't we already use Microsoft Portal that already has a file server on there for this type of deal?
We have a network in this office.
We also use Microsoft Portal, correct?
No. Well, all we have is a network here, just. in
When we
the
check our
office.
email, we log into Office Portal.
Yeah, but we're not set up as far as, I mean, we can email stuff to you. I'm not an IT person, never have claimed to be. I always tell everybody, I know just enough to make me dangerous.
So are you suggesting that we maybe look at hiring a consultant for this office for it to operate better?
Well, if you're wanting every sheet of paper that's been through here, yes, I think you're going to hire somebody.
That's something we could discuss at a later meeting.
But as far as your current, your code is your current. And I think you can take an issue and you can go through your regulations and see where the strike-throughs were taken out and everything that was to be changed was put in. I don't think you have all these documents out there that aren't included in your code. No, I do not.
Where are all the digital files of these things that were codified years ago that you were sent to them via electronically? And they put it in the code. What happened to those files?
There's a drawer in there that has every regulation that's ever existed, and every resolution that's ever existed. At some point, yes, they were scanned and all that, but your older stuff, no, we didn't go back and try to recreate the wheel on stuff that was basically irrelevant once that code was passed.
How far back are we talking here?
1970.
Say that again?
1970.
70 forward's been digitized?
No, it's sitting in a drawer in there in hard copy, that's what I'm saying. Once we got to where we were advanced in the software, and that's how we did stuff, yes, we have those documents saved. Did we go back the previous 15 to 20 years? No.
Okay, so my question is, at what year did we go forward that's digitized? Is that like 2020, 2015?
No, most of it will be, I mean, and here's what you've got. You've got different computer software going through. I mean, we probably have, I'd have to look at my computer to see what I have. Probably like around 2000.
Around 2000.
Yeah.
So we have roughly 25 years of digitized files.
Well, mostly, yes.
Would you agree that most of the regulations are 2000 or earlier have been pretty much started at that point or amended or changed at that point? Majority of them in the codified version?
Yes, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Whenever they did the codification, they hired the company out of Florida to do it. That set your code. Okay, that was your,
When did that happen? Do you recall?
I want to say that was like in 1990.
So I will say, after reviewing it, most of the regulations in the codified part were written after 2000. So if you already have those digitized, that might be the majority of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm discovering now, is it's not what you're saying is, the bulk of what we're talking about is already digitized.
Well, pretty well, yes.
I mean, it's strictly the rules, or regulations and resolutions.
Yes, I mean, they're, yeah, or we can easily get to them, or we could scan them, a few. I mean, we can't go in there and tackle everything. I don't know what else he's referring to, but, so.
Simply the regulations and resolutions.
But what
We got
you
it back
have-
in 2000.
What you have starting in 2000, you had different people responsible for that. So you have stuff that was kind of shifted other places. Everything the last 5 to 7 years is all right there. And now prior to that, there were times that a different employee was doing it and we didn't have the network like we have now. So that's what some of your issue is, because I might have it on my computer, Marilyn might have had it on her computer, Diane might have had it on her computer, and we didn't have the network access to everything. So some of it was lost in doing that.
Sounds to me like we just need to take what we already have, all these digitized records, and put them on one server that is accessible to any of the commissioners. That difficult?
I mean, it's not something I can do, we would have to ask our IT company.
I mean, our IT person could come and do that we have currently under contract?
I would assume that they could take what's existing in our computers.
The easiest answer.
But
being that most of it's already digitized, what it sounds to me like is, it's not that it's not digitized, it's that it's not accessible. That the commissioners need access to those files. And if we have to have the IT guy come over and consolidate all of those onto one server, I think that's the easiest answer.
okay, let's just don't chase rabbits though and think because you have a regulation that's been changed 5 times that you're gonna use that to change your current bylaws. You've gotta go to that existing code for anything you wanna change. You can look at all that stuff and you can look in there through it. You could take one, you could go through the history of it. Your code is your Bible. So you can see all that stuff, which I don't really know why, unless you want to revisit, you want to research stuff. But when you have this code, when you have this regulation, and you're on amendment 14 of it, the amendment 14 is your current, that's it. And you would have to go back if you're wanting them, you're gonna have to take what's online, and you're gonna have to say, oh, well, we wanna go back to the way it was. You're gonna have to go and recreate and do another amendment to that, and create the verbatim and what you wanna strike and what you wanna add. So even having the back history is immaterial to what's there as far as this isn't gonna sit there, you know, your current code is your Bible. That's where my confusion is, why it's so important to know.
I think we're on to something, I think it's, we'll have our IT guy consolidated onto one server.
Back into that. As far as scanning every document that's in this building.
No, I don't think that's
I think that would make Mr. Holman happy, but that.
I don't believe that's the case at all. I've specifically asked for certain things, and that's it. I have not asked for documents sitting down in the box. So, it's specifically to the policy.
We could get the data that's already been digitized on server. I don't see any reason to go back and scan a bunch of other stuff in addition to that. If most of it goes back to 2000, that's quite a ways back. I didn't realize that we were digitized that far back. Okay.
Thank you. And schedule the,
Agenda for a special meeting. Yeah, we can entertain public comments. Anybody have anything?
good luck.
Once we get all the information gathered up that you guys are wanting for the contract, for the bid process, I can call an emergency meeting. So that way, because we only got to give 2 hours notice for that, and then we can call an emergency meeting and come in and take care of that.
Okay. That's all fine.
So hopefully we can have everything gathered, and I'll send it out the day before, maybe Thursday or Friday morning at 9 a.m. If everybody's available around them days. But as soon as I get the information, I'll send out emails to find out.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments?
Not this time for me.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
Nope. Let's set dates for work session
Oh,
and next regular meeting.
So, we have a better meeting schedule and everything else.
So the work session will be February 17th.
right.
President's Day.
It's President's Day,
It's President's Day.
so it'll be the 18th. The regular meeting will be,
The 24th.
yes. And like I said, I'll call the emergency meeting for the rest of the stuff. So.
Okay. Gotta see that. The 7th.
So we, 17 won't work.
Nope, yep.
Good, the 18th on Tuesday.
So it'll be the 18th on Tuesday.
Yeah.
All at 9 a.m. still.
That's fine.
For the commissioner, doesn't sign any checks this week.
I don't have to sign checks this week since.
It's all the paperwork done for,
Or somebody else now. No, did they got them all signed, that's what they.
yep, all the paperwork is signed, so everybody's good to go now, so we can start the rotation. So,
The rotation, she has set up in the office, correct? With the new,
I'm not sure. She's out today. She'll
Yeah.
be back tomorrow.
we'll have it set up tomorrow and send out the rotation schedule to everybody.
okay.
So that way everybody will know when their time is.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Quick comment first. Yes,
I didn't hear the question.
quick comment first.
He wants to comment.
Go ahead.
Your research on your backing up of historical files and whatever you're doing here. You might want to check with, I'm sure Carrie and whatever, around, somewhere is around maybe 2000 or whatever, a lot of files, the old files, it was a house cleaning, and a lot of files were destroyed, burned, or whatever, because it was cumbersome paper. So I don't know if that's what you're looking, that was contained in there or whatever, but you might want to check and see how far these files go back to. Maybe it was just paper.
Okay, thank you.
I made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.